Thursday night brings us a matchup of two AFC East teams who have been struggling a bit. Miami Dolphins, losers of 2 straight, go on the road to take on the Buffalo Bills, who have lost 3 straight. Buffalo is currently installed as a 1-point favorite on BETDAQ. 46 is the total. Both these teams have been unpredictable this year, especially the Miami Dolphins. I don't know what to make of this team. Coming into the season, like most everybody else, I thought the Dolphins were going to be among the worst teams in the entire NFL. You looked at this team, it was just tough to see it. They weren't very good last year. They're starting a rookie quarterback, a guy in Ryan Tannehill who has limited experience at the quarterback position, period. Keep in mind he started his collegiate career at Texas A&M as a wide receiver. He didn't seem to be surrounded by much in terms of skill position talent in Miami after they shipped off their best wide receiver, Brandon Marshall, in the offseason. Their best running back, Reggie Bush, is a guy who's been mostly a third down back throughout his career. They were average on defense last year, so in the preseason, it was tough to look at this Dolphins team and forecast a whole lot of success, and not a whole lot of people did. And that's why in their Week 1 game against the Houston Texans, a game in which they were dominated, a whole lot of people said, yep, that's the Dolphins team we expected to see. But after that game, the Dolphins looked like a completely different team, started playing good football, and through 7 games, they were 4-3. People started talking about this team like a playoff contender. Now, in those first 7 games, just by chance, I was not involved in any one of those games. I did not bet on the Dolphins, did not bet against the Dolphins. Now, of course, I saw what was going on, and I was surprised by it. Because like I said, I thought the Dolphins were going to be terrible this season, and it was clear they were not terrible. So I finally got on the bandwagon a couple of weeks ago when they went on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts. I believe they were a 1-point favorite in that game. I did back the Dolphins, and the Dolphins really controlled that game for the most part. Colts came from behind in the fourth quarter to win it behind Andrew Luck's 433 passing yards. That is the Achilles heel of this Miami team, by the way, is their secondary, their pass defense. But I didn't come away from that game unimpressed with Miami. I backed them again last week. 6-point home favorites against the Tennessee Titans, and they lost that game 37-3. That was a shocking result. Tennessee was 3-6 heading into the game. Their 3 wins had come by a combined 7 points. Their 6 losses, 5 of them had been blowouts. They were allowing over 34 points per game. That was worst in the league. So I don't think anybody could have predicted the Titans would have gone in there and won that game 37-3, but that's exactly what happened. So where are we now with the Miami Dolphins? I know where I am, and that's completely lost. I guess if you look at this team objectively, they're closer to the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, to the team we thought they were a couple of weeks ago. But they're still clearly better than we thought they were going to be early. I mean, they're not one of the worst teams in the NFL, but they have a below-average offense. They like to run the ball, and really their strength on offense is their offensive line. The line's done a nice job this year opening up holes to that running game and protecting Ryan Tannehill. And Tannehill's been pretty good for a rookie, but he is a rookie. He was terrible last week, had a real meltdown type of game. Their receiving core is below average. The offense as a whole is below average. I guess the defense is a little above average, 8th in the NFL in points allowed right now, but they have a really bad secondary. They cannot defend the pass, so they're an obviously flawed defense. So the Miami Dolphins, I guess they're an obviously flawed team, but they've certainly played well in spots this year. They're just a tough team. Again, they've got me completely turned around. They're a tough team to figure out. I guess the Bills are a little simpler. They're a team with a pretty good offense that just usually isn't able to overcome their really bad defense. Buffalo right now, 31st in the NFL in yards allowed, 32nd dead last in rush defense, and 32nd dead last in points allowed. They're allowing 31.7 points per game. Now, Tennessee was dead last in points per game last week before they faced these same Miami Dolphins. So maybe that's all the Bills need. Maybe the teams who are last in the league in total offense, or in scoring offense, all they need is to face the Dolphins, and they'll move up in that stat, because that's exactly what happened to the Tennessee Titans. And Buffalo, even though they've lost 3 in a row, I mentioned earlier they've lost 3 in a row, they've actually been not bad in those losses, been competitive in every game. 3 games ago, they played the Tennessee Titans, the same team that beat the Dolphins 37-3 in the last game, and they lost a really tough 1-point game, 35-34. And their last 2 games have been road games in Houston and New England, maybe the 2 best teams in the AFC. And the Bills were right there in both those games, competitive in both those games, came within a play of beating the Patriots last week. Now, does that mean I have a whole lot of faith in the Bills here on Thursday night? No, I don't. It's tough to have a whole lot of faith in this Buffalo team. Their defense is so bad, and we've seen them blown out a couple of times this year, including, remember that Week 1 game against a New York Jets team that turns out is not very good at all. Getting blown out by the San Francisco 49ers on the road is one thing, but that Jets blowout is starting to look worse and worse. So tough to have a whole lot of faith in the Bills, and the trends in this game point towards the Dolphins. If you put any faith, any stock in the trends, Miami 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 AFC East games, while Buffalo 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 division games. Buffalo 2-5 against the number in their last 7 home games, and Miami is 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 games between these two teams. So again, the trends seem to favor Miami, but I lean towards Buffalo. Now, with what I've just told you for the last couple of minutes about how lost I am on Miami, that probably means you should run as fast as you can and bet as much money as you can afford on the Miami Dolphins, because I couldn't be more wrong on the Miami Dolphins so far this season. That being said, I guess my opinion on Miami is now back to sort of a low point, not quite as low as it was at the beginning of the season, but how can it not be sort of low after seeing them lose 37-3 to the Titans last week? And Buffalo needs this game. It's a huge game for both teams. Both these teams still have a lot to play for. Neither team is out of it. But if whoever loses this game is effectively out of it. So it's a big game for both teams. Buffalo at home. The Buffalo offense has been functional. Miami really struggles in the secondary, so look for Ryan Fitzpatrick and Stevie Johnson to get it going this week. Again, I lean towards Buffalo in this game, but I say that with as little confidence as humanly possible.